The introduction of Corinth Prime was met with skepticism because it did not inherit the reload mechanic of regular Corinth. And I wasn't far from that camp. It felt weird to use at start, but I gave it time and I ended up liking it. A lot. Even liking it over regular Corinth. Not just because of obvious upgrade in strength, but large magazine size of 20 rounds just made it far more comfortable to use for me. That's mostly down to the fact that relatively small magazine of Corinth means that you often need to reload during one engagement with a group of enemies. Being able to control when alt-fire explodes is also a huge reason why I switched to Prime. Also, alt-fire being more than 4 times stronger definitely adds a solid argument. I have 2 builds I use for this weapon, and I'll explain the difference. For general build, I am still not over taking 3 seconds to reload, so I even went with Prime Reload mod. For critical chance, I went with critical deceleration, but for me that means the fire rate needs to be somewhere in there, and my Riven has my back. Prime Cold is there to be a part of Viral with 60/60 Toxin mod, and to give high damage, but also some status chance to feed that alt fire. Blaze is there for an all-around Viral plus Heat combo, and because I do not use any damage mods on this build, Blaze helps me kickstart primary Deadhead. Choice of primary Deadhead here is deliberate, not just because of that juicy headshot damage, but also the recoil reduction. Without it, Corinth Prime does have a kick, and while kick does fully reset before you can fire the next shot, I still prefer not having it because it makes aiming easier. And that's the build you saw so far, and it works well in steel pad since most enemies take 1 or 2 shots to go down. Might not be the best option for endurance, since even in Archon hunts I felt a drop. So to tune it for those missions, I sacrificed some of the reload speed and switched to chilling reload to cover both cold and reload. It's a chunky loss of total damage when you take out a prime mod, but it opens up a spot for hunter munitions. With total critical chance being 90% and number of projectiles being over 20, you get pretty consistent bleeding with this. If you don't have a Riven, I would recommend fire rate in that slot. If my Riven was to allow it, I would squeeze in Galvanize shot, but I would need Toxin and fire rate roll with something nice to make it happen. With viral, heat, forced bleeding, decent chance for puncture, and alt fire having blast damage, that would be a beastly build. But sadly, I can't find that roll anywhere. And I've been searching for months. Since this is my favorite weapon in the game, I'm still trying to find it. And I know it's not the strongest weapon in any way, but it's more than strong enough, and has things that I want. Primary fire is reliable in some range, since it's a hit scan weapon, and does not have a rough spread, nor much damage fall off. Alt fire has a big boom, but is also a very good way to prime enemies. Also, it's one of the more satisfying weapons to shoot. An all-around comfortable weapon. Sounds good too. Just like with almost every other buckshot shotgun, Corinth Prime has spread reduction when you aim down sight, which is a good thing to know when you need some extra oomph, or even to attempt hitting multiple enemies with a single shot. And I feel like the only honest, quote-unquote, drawback of this weapon is that it does not have the same dynamics as regular Corinth. And that is putting people off, as spamming reload every 2 shots is not a very good way to play Corinth Prime. But it's a habit, and I would lie if I said that I instantly stopped doing that with the Prime version. I still do it sometimes, but this definitely has tons of upsides over Corinth, with one and only downside being that reload speed. But it's compensated with an expanded magazine that's 4 times the size. I didn't use any damage buffs in this video, only some frames have Arcane Avenger on them, and Grendel has both Avenger and the Darza Kavat. So that's the reason you've been seeing lots of orange crits. But this with something like Void buff from Zata's Whisper and some punch through is truly a force to be reckoned with. Thank you for watching, subscribe for more, and I'll see you in the next one.